Denver won 104-93 last night in a game that they controlled mostly throughout. Miami made a run. I tweeted this during the game last night. I almost put out a tweet talking about, hey, I always put a summary tweet after finals games, like kind of summing the game up in, 280 characters or less. And all of a sudden, Miami goes on this, what was it, a 8-0 run to make it a 13-point game. They fought back. That Haywood Highsmith kid, by the way, nice player. He'll definitely get more and more minutes for the Heat as the series goes on. But the Nuggets throughout controlled the tempo, controlled the game. Joker had an unbelievable performance. I actually saw this stat. He had 14 assists. He obviously 27 points, 10 rebounds, 14 assists. But the 14 assists is the first double-digit dimes game that we have seen from a center in the finals since the late, great Bill Russell, which I stepped back. I was like, wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Because we've had, obviously not great passing big men to the likes of Jokic, obviously. He's the greatest passing center we've ever seen. But we've had some good ones in the past. I'm just surprised that it's taken this long for a center to record 10 assists, which Jokic obviously did last night, and then some +4. Jamal Murray had a fantastic night, as he's done all playoffs long, averaging 27. He was 1 point off of his average, 26, 10, and 6. Did it on efficient shooting from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. I thought Aaron Gordon had a spectacular performance, particularly in the first half. 7 for 10 for the field, 16 points. Got to the line, was excellent defensively. It was a team effort for Denver. And I said coming into the series, I thought the notion that, and I still strongly believe this notion that the gap between Denver and Miami is as big as, according to Vegas at least, as big as the gaps between the Spurs and Cavs back in 2007 and the Warriors and Cavs back in 2018. I have a hard time believing that. Those Cavs teams with LeBron, outside of obviously LeBron, were garbage. Those Spurs and Warriors teams were historically great, particularly the Spurs on the defensive end, Golden State on the offensive end, although they were good defensively. And so I just thought Miami just took out 2 50-win teams in the playoffs. I'm supposed to think there was just this finals accident. Come on now. But I did admit, even though I picked Miami and I stick by my pick, Denver absolutely is the better basketball team. They are better. They were the number 1 seed all season long for a reason. Or number 1 seed, the best team in the West all season, won 53 games. Jokic finished second for MVP. Jamal Murray had a resurgent year, particularly in the playoffs. And so listen, I picked Miami to win last night, and ultimately the question for me, and I talked about in yesterday's show, was rest versus rust. Which one would come into factor? Clearly, for the Denver Nuggets, it was rest. I wondered if the 10 days off would hurt them. We've seen that with teams in the past where it's one comes off of like a grueling 6-7 win series, but they come in fresh, not fresh. They come in, they just play basketball. They're kind of got a good rhythm going. And the other team's been off for a week and it takes them a minute. That never, outside of early in the fourth quarter, ever looked like the case with the Denver Nuggets. They clearly took advantage of the 10 days off, which is a credit to Michael Malone and the entire coaching staff and the players for obviously keeping their bodies in tip-top shape, ready to go for game 1. A couple things that I want to look at, though. I'll start from the Miami perspective, then I'll go to the Denver perspective. I know you rarely start with the losing team, but because I picked Miami, I might as well start there. So coming into the playoffs and exiting the finals, I always do top 10 players in the NBA. And that top 10 obviously changes after the playoffs because I'm of the crazy belief that to be a truly great player, you have to validate your greatness in the regular season in the playoffs. And I talked about Jimmy Butler yesterday. Like he's the weirdest great player that I've seen where he's really, really good in the regular season and all-time great in the playoffs. And it's like, what's his legacy going to look like? Where do we slate him amongst the top 10 players in the NBA? Because obviously his regular season peaks aren't near what a lot of guys are. Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, but he's absolutely better in the postseason. Well, last night, folks, he was bad. And if we're going to insert him into these, hey, one of the 5 or 6 best players in the world conversation, well, let's give him that same energy that we would other guys. Reality of the situation is that if Steph Curry, if LeBron James, if Giannis Antetokounmpo, if Kevin Durant, if Joel Embiid, if Nikola Jokic had went 6 for 14 from the field with 13 points, not gotten to the free throw line once, we would be hard on them, and rightfully so. That's what comes with being a great player. That's what comes with the attention. Not that Jimmy Butler is the type of dude to hide from that kind of pressure. That's not Jimmy. Obviously, we know that. But I'm seeing a lot of hesitancy in terms of criticism towards Jimmy. I'm like, listen, he's coming off of a big-time Game 7 against the Boston Celtics, a solid, not a great one, but a solid series in totality in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's give him that same energy that we give other great players. Now, is Jimmy as good as Jokic? Obviously not. Is he as good as Steph or KD or no? But he's in that category. He's in those top 10 guys in the NBA. We need to give him that same energy. Something else, too, for Miami. And we saw, and I tweeted early in the game, like, man, Miami is missing. They're not missing threes. They're missing wide open looks. I mean, Max Strus, God bless him, went 0 for 10 from the field, 0 for 9 from 3. It just wasn't his night. Like, you could tell about midway through the second quarter, he missed a wide open 3. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to be Max Strus' night tonight, unless he just goes in the heater in the second half, and he obviously did not. But I saw this. ESPN put this on Twitter this morning. Okay, this is according to Second Spectrum Stats. The Miami Heat on wide open threes in Game 1. And for those of you that are like, well, what classifies as a wide open 3? It's if the closest defender is 6 or more feet away. That's what classifies, according to Second Spectrum, as a wide open 3. Miami shot 31%, 5 for 16. So again, great looks. Max Strus got good looks. Jimmy Butler got a couple of good looks. Kyle Lowry, he was solid last night. I thought he played pretty well, but he got some decent looks and wasn't able to cash in. Miami just missed shots. Sometimes that happens. Now, here's the good news for the Heat. They just finished a series against the Boston Celtics in which, according to Second Spectrum, on wide open threes throughout the course of the series, they shot 49%. Now, do I anticipate they'll do that in Game 2? I don't. Making over 50% of your threes as a team is really hard to do. And if you do it, you're very hard to beat. But somewhere in between, could you shoot 41, 42%? That could potentially be a winning formula for Miami, of course, if they do everything else well. But you also potentially, according to reports, could get Tyler Hero back as soon as Sunday. The early reports were saying, hey, Tyler could come back Game 3. Now they're saying he's testing out the hand. He feels good. He might be ready to go on Sunday, which, if he is physically ready to go, if he's not rushing it, will be huge for the Heat. That's a 20-point-per-game guy and an excellent three-point shooter. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Miami Heat. I've even heard some people in the media talk about, hey, Denver could sweep. They're not sweeping the series. Okay, Miami's better than the Lakers. They have a better playoff resume. They went through a harder path than the Lakers, and their best player was more consistent than either of the Lakers' two best players, and their supporting cast. They have better shooters and obviously a much, much better coach. This is a different challenge for the Nuggets. Likewise, Denver's a different challenge for Miami than what they faced. Last thing for Miami before I move on to Denver. First thing was Jimmy Butler's got to play better. I believe he will. Second thing was they were awful on wide open threes. I believe that will change in Game 2. And the third thing is, and Miami has struggled. This is probably the thing I'm least confident will happen in Game 2 for the Heat, although I could see them making a statement first quarter and doing so. They struggle at scoring in the paint. Now, a lot of that's due to their lack of size. Outside of Bam, they basically have no bigs. Kevin Love, you could sort of classify as that, but he's never, well, he kind of was early in his tenure in Minnesota, but he's mostly a stretch four guy. That's mostly been his game. So I went, and Kevin Love barely even plays for the Miami Heat in these playoffs. So, you don't have to put him in that discussion. But it's a lot of guards. Jimmy Butler, Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Haywood Highsmith, who played well last night. Like, that's mostly, the guys they put out there. That's mostly their rotation. Outside of Bam, who, by the way, sort of, I'll get to the Denver aspect of things in just a second, but you could say if you're a Denver fan, like, hey, Bryson, I get Miami didn't shoot well, but Bam also played amazing. I mean, Bam, what did he give you? 26? Yeah, 26 on 13 for 25 for the field with 13 rebounds. You'll take that any day of the week for the Miami Heat if you're the Heat, especially how he played in the last series against Boston when he really struggled against the likes of Al Horford and Robert Williams. So if you're Miami today, there's a lot to be optimistic about. You anticipate you'll shoot better from three, but you've got to attack the paint. Folks, the Heat shot 2 free throws. which according to ABC during the game last night is the record low for a team in a finals game. They shot 2 free throws. They didn't attack the paint. Jimmy Butler said as much after the game, like, we got to change that in game 2. Because the thing is, as great as Jokic is, and he is spectacular, who I'll get to in just a moment, he's not a rim protector. Like, you can get buckets in the paint against Jokic. I anticipate Miami could attack that in game 2. Because the thing is, Jokic doesn't present those same challenges, those same matchup issues that Horford and especially Robert Williams, one of the best shot blockers in the league, that those two guys did for Boston. Or that, say, a Mitchell Robinson posed for the Knicks in round 2, like a Giannis or a Brook Lopez possessed in round 1. If anything, the Heat should be more successful scoring in the paint in this series than any series, which could then open it up for the three-point line, for guys to, knock down good looks from 3. So again, I don't think it's doom and gloom for the Miami Heat. Spo will make adjustments, and the Heat will come out with a better game plan in game 2. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.